Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another interview from Sprott US Media. I'm Rick Rule, and I have with me an old friend and colleague, figuratively rather than literally, Grant Williams. Hello, Grant. How are you today?
Rick, I'm fantastic. Great to talk to you as always.
I'm looking forward to seeing you, naked commercial plug, at the Sprott Vancouver Natural Resources Investment Symposium, July 17th through 20th. And I'd like today to cover some of the big picture items that we'll both be talking about in Vancouver, followed by a discussion about how to navigate in the markets that we see as a consequence of this and make a little money in 2018. I hope you're ready for all of that.
I think that sounds like an exceptional way to spend a little while.
I think I'd like to start with a phenomenon that we talked about last year in Vancouver, which is the appearance, at least, of the beginnings of a global synchronized economic recovery. It would appear, at least from what the big thinkers say, that the United States is experiencing a solid recovery, that the European community is in a bit of a recovery, and the move that we've seen, certainly in frontier and emerging markets, would suggest that if recoveries do trickle down, that the rest of the world is beginning to benefit. I know that you're a world traveler. What do you see in terms of the strength of the world's economy?
Well, I definitely think we can say that there is a global recovery underway. I think that's now more or less inarguable, but I would question the strength of it, particularly given the amount of ammunition that's been thrown at this thing by the various central banks. $13-14 trillion in QE around the globe has not really generated the kind of recovery that one would have expected when one went into the store and paid that sort of money for it. I mean, the US, we're in an era now where 2.5-3% is a really solid recovery, and I think we just have to get used to that. The days of China and India, for example, growing 10, 12, 13, 14% for the time being at least seem to be over. So I think we've had to ratchet our expectations for what a recovery looks like lower. And all that's really been missing has been the narrative around that, where people start accepting that this is now a strong global recovery, even though it's anemic by sort of pre-crisis levels. And it's funny what a difference that narrative makes. Once you start talking about 2.5-3% growth in the US as a good, strong recovery, people's animal spirits get lifted. It's amazing that's all it takes. But it seems to be the case. The only caveat is obviously that it does make it slightly more fragile if any of the, for example, the trade policies that President Trump is talking about could very easily tip this thing over. So whilst I would agree with your point that we do have a synchronized recovery, I would balk at labeling it strong as well, and I think it's a very fragile one, and I think we all have to be on our toes and watch it very carefully for signs of a relapse.